All right. This is my review of September 19th, 2025. This is what a red day looks like. I am very proud of this red day. Don't get me wrong, there were a lot of mistakes that I made, and there was at one point tilt and revenge trading, which is bad. However, one of the conclusions that I've come to in the last couple weeks is that um, tilt and emotional mistakes and impulse is always going to be a part of trading. You listen to a lot of veteran professional traders, and it's easy to watch them trade and to look at their P&L and their consistency and to think, wow, that person must never experience tilt. How do I do that? How do I become a trader that never experiences tilt? And they will oftentimes tell you that they do go on tilt. It happens. It's in every trader's career in one way or another, and you're never really going to escape it. Now, I do believe that once you have become consistent and that you've achieved a certain amount of success and you have a clearly identifiable edge, I think that tilt becomes fewer and far between those tilt sessions. But I think even in the best case scenarios, the best traders I still think it does happen. Now, there's different ways of avoiding tilt. One of those ways is to just become a purely systematic trader or even an algorithmic trader. That way, emotions are completely removed from the equation. But um, the evidence is pretty clear that the human mind and the discretionary trader outperforms the average algorithm, or even in some cases, systematic traders. I like being a discretionary trader. I think it's part of my personality. I like freedom. I like to explore. I like to experiment. I like to not be confined by rules. And I think that one rule that I've had the last couple of years that has been to my detriment is to never tilt trade, and that tilt trading is the worst thing in the world, and it's horrible, and I'm pathetic for being a trader who goes on tilt. I think that mentality is very toxic. I think if anything, you should embrace it. You should embrace those mistakes. You should embrace tilt when it comes. Um, you shouldn't allow it to take over your cognitive abilities. You shouldn't let it dictate your trades. You should still um, fight that tilt, be aware of it, take breaks when it presents itself. Uh, But the more you try to avoid something, the more likely it is to happen, in my opinion. And today was kind of a microcosm of that. As I just said, my mentality lately has been that uh, tilt is not a horrible thing, and I should embrace it. However, as much as I like to think I don't worry about P&L, I think it clearly shows in my trading sometimes. And I think what ended up happening today was I had printed such a green week, and my trading has been so consistently lately that my subconscious mind was just thinking about red days and like when's the next red day gonna come. And I think it presented itself today. I think on a larger scale, if you're always thinking about when's the next time I'm going to go on tilt and like how do I avoid going on tilt and I never want to go on tilt again, you're going to go on tilt. You're looking in the direction where you want to head. So with that in mind, I am really not upset with my trading today. In fact, I think I did a really good job of managing my risk. Um, when I pulled up my P&L and looked at my P&L chart for the day, I was pleasantly surprised. I think The fact that I'm only down 11 ticks within my daily loss limit is pretty impressive, to be honest. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of how I managed this session. So let's do a brief overview. I had 25 trades, which is a lot. I don't think nearly as many of those are going to be over trading as I think they are. Um, there was at least one instance where I broke my 3 attempt rule, where I'm only allowed to attempt a trade 3 times. I think I attempted a trade on a 4th time. So if I'm going to ding myself for one thing today, that's probably going to end up being it. But I wouldn't necessarily say that over trading was my downfall today, because the price action today, which you'll end up seeing, was just very grindy, and like the only profit that I could pick was for a couple ticks. So of those 25 trades, 11 were winners and 14 were losers, with a win rate of 44%. My average winning trade was 2.7 ticks, and my average losing trade was 2.9 ticks. So in that small amount of data right there, you can see that it was really hard to pick up winners. Um, my biggest winning trade was 5 ticks, so it was very tough for me to pick up ticks today. Let's jump into trades. I suppose it would help if I linked my videos. Let me do that real quick. 758. All right. So now that I've got the recording in here, let's jump into some trades, shall we? I may not have time to screenshot all of these trades. I'm going to try and screenshot most of them. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll kind of take it on a trade to trade basis. Before I jump into the first trade, I just want to quickly review my plan for today, just so you have some context. Above prior day high, long bias. Breach and then accept below is short bias, and then acceptance below prior day low is short bias. We didn't do any of these things, so today was risk off. And I think I did a pretty good job of following my risk off rules. There were a couple outliers that hit me for pretty big losses. I think I took a 6 tick loss at one point. But I'm not too worried about that. I think I wasn't super aggressive today. There are probably going to be some trades that are aggressive, but again, today was just it's a red day. It happens. I'm totally content with that. Today's plan: acceptance above, breach flush below, acceptance below. I already went over that. So anything in between, risk off. Today, all the trades today are going to be risk off. Trade 2 lots unless average rotation is above 5 points. In that, I followed that rule. There was no, I think there was one rotation above 5 points at the open, but that's about it. 8 ticks profit target, 16 ticks daily loss limit, and I stayed within that. At no point did I hit 8 ticks profit, and at no point did I hit 16 ticks drawdown. Narrate each trade, take frequent breaks. I think I only took one break, one or two. I think maybe I should have taken more breaks, but I did narrate every trade. So let's jump into trade number 1. Point, got it. So starting things off strong with a point profit. My session was looking really good for the first couple trades. This one's a good one to screenshot, so I am going to screenshot it. Fast forward it all. Do we keep going down? A little bit, maybe. So I'm going to screenshot this. Start with the narrations. The most obvious thing is very, very large seller. So we had a 150 lot seller up here that we invalidated. And then we had a whole bunch of buyers to fade into. To fade into, as well as on the 30-second. We also invalidated this big guy up here. Invalidation on multiple time frames. No sellers above. Yeah. I think that's it. There's not a whole lot else that contributed to this trade. In all honesty, I think it was just a good solid setup. Yeah, reclaim assisted. I'll take it. So I'm gonna green star this one. I had big order blocks, small order blocks, and reclaim favor. Trend. Fairly confident saying that this was a short trend just because we came off so sharply off on an open. So I'm going to say trend favor. Multiple factors of support. Entry good. Exit good. This was a pretty conservative scalp. And I'll give this an A setup. It's not A plus just because I don't have any real price action supporting me. Slip favor, clear, calm, content, and patient. I was doing really good at the beginning of the session. Screenshot in. Trade number 2 is a, I should say trade number 1 was a 4-tick profit to the short side. Now trade number 2 is a break even to the long side. Let's watch the recording. Evens, long evens. I'm gonna take it for 1 tick or break even. I'm not sure what if it gave me a 1 tick profit or break even. Yeah, break even. So it was a pretty good cut. You can see it comes back on me there. That would have been pretty ugly. This was a good setup. This was a really good setup actually, and I'm gonna screenshot this one. I'll tell you why it was a good setup. we had really good invalidation below. Invalidation. Backside. So there's still a little bit of backside risk, but for the most part, we've invalidated that entire move. And we've got a whole bunch of sell orders above us that I want to fade into. Sellers above to fade. I'll even do like boom, 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 and boom. So the 30-second chart looks really primed here. Looks really juicy. My entry was approximately here. Is also my exit, so I'll do my entry, my exit. Still some backside risk. So I think this is a great break even. Second break even long. I think this is a great break even because while it was a good setup, it has to work instantly. And if it doesn't, then I need to get out of it. And that's exactly what I did. So I am glad I cut that where I did. I'm gonna green star this one. Uh, I had big order blocks, small order blocks in my favor. I had a pretty nice reclaim, but I am against the trend. So trend against. Entry good, exit good. This is a conservative scalp. I'm going to give this a B grade. This is also risk off. I need to make sure I have that highlighted on every trade. I don't think there was any real mistakes here. I did have slip favor. I was clear. I was calm. I was content. And I was still pretty patient. I waited about 12 minutes after the open to start trading. And these are pretty decently spaced, a couple minutes in between. All right, on to the next one. I'm going to rewind a couple seconds. On the execution. Might be a try too if we can fresh sell orders. I'll try it. 475. Little quick on the entry. Take this off for a tick. I just don't like how it's hovering here. Usually when it starts to hover near a local high or a pivot point, it means that it's going to try to break through. So I think I could have held this one. No, I should not have held that one. That's hindsight, obviously. I think I make some good points that if it's not working in my favor right away, I should probably consider getting out of it. And that's exactly what was going on here. Especially because I don't have any big areas to fade into on the 32nd or the 3. I do have a couple small areas to fade into, but nothing too major. This one could have been a nightmare because it blows out pretty short after. I'm just going to, this is trade 3, by the way, 1 tick profit to the short side. I only had small order blocks in my favor. I did have a nice reclaim, but I think that's about it. It's not clear that there's a trend anymore. In fact, it looks like a range, so I'll do range favor. My entry was good and my exit was good. I think it was a good cut. The setup looks pretty good. I'm gonna give it a B setup. This was again pretty conservative. Actually, I'm gonna change entry to early. I think my entry was early there. Conservative scalp, B setup, risk off. I did have slip favor. I was clear, calm, content, and patient. I will also green star this one. Trade number 4 is a 5 tick loss to the short sides. This is my first big loss of the session. I'm going to rewind a bit here, actually, because I think I make a lot of good narrations here. But again, the tricky part about this style of trading is that this strong trends are your enemy. When price puts in a strong trend, it looks really juicy and you really want to fade it, but you're essentially catching a knife. We got one really good validation up here. I'm gonna try the 10 for shorts, 10 even, build. I'm gonna flat key that for 4 tick loss. I just don't want that to blow up against me again. So if I fast forward, I actually probably could have held that trade. I attempted again. I'm going to make the same error in both of these trades, which is that I slip against. I am taking the slip against me. I do have big and small order blocks in my favor. I've got a reclaim in my favor. It does look like it's compressing against me, though, so I'm going to tag that as compression against. And I think that's it. Range. I think the idea of a range is gone now since we broke out of it. So I'm going to say trend against 2 since we look like we're in a pretty strong bull trend. My entry was late. I should have caught that a lot sooner. My exit was actually pretty good. I hate that it's a 5 tick loss, but sometimes trades are like that. Embrace risk. Don't shy away from risk. This was risk off. I'm going to call this an aggressive trade. This was an aggressive scalp. I think getting in after a trend that hard is pretty aggressive, so I'm going to mark that against my bias too. As far as clarity goes, I think I was in between. I don't think I was clear or confused here. I was calm. I was content, but I think I'm maybe lacking patience, and we'll also see that in the next trade. I'm going to yellow star this trade. Trade number 5 is a 1 tick profit to the short side. Yes. Yeah, it touches my stop here. So this was setting up to almost be a
Do not want to
6
see a
tick
slingshot
loss.
back up. If it slingshots back up again from here, I'm going to flat key it. I just want to see it continue back down here, which it is doing.
So I briefly here have, and not even briefly, this would be an excellent opportunity to cut the trade. I have a point of profit here, and at one point even 5 ticks of profit. But I think I'm just at this point I'm kind of starting to revenge trade. I'm trying to fix that 5 tick loss by getting a 5 tick win, but I can't be doing that. If it's a good trade, I need to take it off. There's some sellers starting to develop on my backside, which means the trade could come back at any minute. And we're also really close to invalidating the key level that I'm trading into.
Starting up a little bit. I'll take it for 1 tick profit. Just bankroll a little bit. Plus, I do have those pinks on my backside.
So take it for 1 tick profit. If I fast forward, had I held a little bit and let that trade come back on me, I could have ended up getting the 5 or 6 ticks, but I don't want to focus on that too much. I think the fact that I held too long is what I really want to focus on here. So I'm going to paste the tags from the last one. I've got big, small order blocks. I've got reclaims, but I'm against a compression and I'm against the trend. This entry was also a little early. My exit was late. I had an opportunity to take it off. This was also an aggressive scalp. It was a try to B setup. I am against my bias. I'm against the slip range. My market read is in between. I'm also going to put maybe calm. I can kind of hear coarseness in my voice in the replay, which means I'm not completely calm. I am content, but I may be patient. Also going to yellow star this trade. Trade number 6 is a 6-tick loss to the long side. Let's watch the replay.
It is. I'll take it for 75 long. A little bit of drawdown, but that's totally fine. I do really like this setup. Took my stop. That's again okay. That we bit me.
Yeah, so as I was saying in the narration, I really like this setup. I'm even going to screenshot it. We had some excellent invalidation on the way down. Huge invalidation. My entry was roughly here. My exit was here. An ideal entry probably actually would have been right here. And an ideal exit would have been right here. So just an early trade. Entry, exit, ideal entry, ideal exit. Sellers above. So really good setup and just early. I was a little early on it, and if I had just let the trade breathe a little bit more, I could have stayed in it longer. paste that in there. Tags. I did have some big and small in my favor. And I only had one small against me. I had pretty substantial reclaim favor. As much as I hate to keep saying this, the day is now turning back into a range, and I am range favor on it. Entry early. Maybe exit early, just because if I had held for just a couple more ticks drawdown, it would have ended up working for me. This was an aggressive scalp, or sorry, conservative scalp. I'm gonna give this an A setup. It's really good. Risk off. I did have slip favor. I waited for the shimmy back. I was really clear here. I was pretty calm. I'm gonna put maybe content because I think the fact that I took the trade off so quick means I wasn't content with losing again. And maybe patient. I'm gonna green star this one because I think it was a good setup. It was a decent attempt. Just a botched execution, and it is kind of hindsight to think that, oh, if I just held longer, I would have got it. Like, this could have easily came back against me and been a losing trade. So trade number 7 is a 5-tick profit to the long side. Let's watch the replay. So this looks like a try 2 of the one earlier.
There, 550.
So that was a great trade there. Got 5 ticks out of it. Maybe could have held longer, but I would have been sweating if I held any longer. This was a try 2 of the last one, so I'm going to copy the tags. A setup. It looks like the entry was good and the exit was good. I have slip favor. I'm clear. I'm calm. Maybe content, maybe patient. I'll keep those the way they are. I will also green star this one. All right. Trade number 8 is a 1-tick profit to the short side. Let's watch the replay.
There it is. I'll take it. Took the 625 shorts. I'm gonna take the 3-tick profit if he'll give it to me. Maybe 2. Take 1 tick profit. Take it.
So it went 3 ticks in my favor, but I just couldn't get it, and I think taking it off where I did was a good idea. Had I, in hindsight, if I had accepted maybe 5 or 6 ticks drawdown, it would have worked for 5 or 6 ticks. But I just wasn't really in a state where I could have risked that at the time. That being said, it was a really good invalidation play. I only had small order blocks in my favor. But I didn't have really any order blocks against me. If we consider this, or actually, did I? No. Only small order blocks, but I didn't have any order blocks against me. We had a good range going on, so I was range favor. That's kind of it. I didn't really have anything against me, I don't think. Yeah. Entry good. Exit good. This was a conservative scalp. I'll also give this an A setup just because it had a really nice slip range going. Risk off. I had slip favor. I was clear. I was calm. I was maybe content. And I was maybe patient. The timing of this trade is pretty close to my last one, but I will green star it. I think that's it. So that one's green star. Trade number 9 is a 1-tick loss to the long side. Let's watch the replay here.
Except for a 1-tick loss. That's going to end up being a good cut. Yeah, I'm going to hit my stop right there. The reason being is because um, those 30-second sell orders were so far away, and we didn't really print any small sell orders on 3 second. So a combination of factors.
So I do a pretty good job of explaining that one. This looked like a really good trade on paper, but there's more to it than just the chart. The way price was just kind of like stuttering down here. If you're gonna catch a knife and price starts stuttering at the low, like you gotta get out of there because it's gotta work quick. Like the last two moves, you can see where it did that. It reclaimed really quick, and this time it just did not do that. So I did have big order blocks in my favor as well as small ones. Uh, I had small ones against me, but they're old, so I'm not even going to tag them. I had range favor. I also had reclaim favor, so this will be multiple factors of support. I didn't really have anything against me, per se. Maybe there is a reclaim against me. My entry was good and my exit was good. I'm glad I got out of this when I did. This was a conservative scalp. I'll give it an A setup because on its face, this looked really good. Oh, I do have a V flush against me though, kind of. Yeah, maybe I'll tag this V flush against. So just something to pay attention to. I did have slip favor. I was really clear on this. I was calm. I think I was feeling a lot more content here after recouping some of my losses with the last two wins. But my patience is still in the middle. I'm not exactly the patient here. I will green star this one. However, my next trade, which was a 2-tick profit to the long side, was right after this. It was technically a try two. But I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think this was a good trade to get back into because it's clearly starting to accept below. If I fast forward here, I think it does continue lower, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not, but still, according to my system, this was not a good trade. So trade number 10 will have the same tags. But it's going to be a red star. I think it was an impulsive entry, and I'm technically over trading here. And I am impatient here. I am not patient on this trade. So that will be a red star. Trade number 11 is a 2-tick profit to the long side. I'm going to rewind just a little bit so we can hear the narration. Nice little micro reclaim. I'm going to try the long at 5. Got it. Take 2 ticks profit. Could have got the point out of it, maybe, but I just the theme of today is like slow moves. If the market's gonna give me an easy 2 ticks, I'm gonna take it. That was probably the easiest trade of the day right there. Just that simple 2 ticks. So I'm not complaining about 2-tick profit. So I do make a pretty good point there. This was a very easy trade, and the setup was really good. We're drifting upwards on low volume, which means that price naturally wants to go that direction. We get a pretty fast spike downwards, and we also print a pretty good area to reclaim. We had 2 larger sell orders above. I'm going to screenshot this one, but I'm just going to do it quickly because I want to get through these trades. I won't necessarily call this A plus because it doesn't have a lot of factors to support. It does have big order blocks. It does have small order blocks. It does have reclaim. We also have range favor on it. The only thing working against us really is kind of nothing. I don't see a whole lot against us. Yeah. Entry good. Exit good. I could have held it a little longer, but given the environment we were in, I just couldn't really risk it. This was a conservative scalp. Risk off. I gotta make sure I've been tagging that in the last couple trades. On at 5. Got. I had slip favor. I was clear, calm, content, and I was pretty patient on this trade. This is a couple minutes since the last one. I waited patiently for this to present itself. So also paste in that screenshot. And this will be a green star trade. Trade number 12 is a 1 tick profit to the long side. I'll rewind a little bit, listen to the narration. Move down. Might have the slip advantage here. Try 425. Got it. Take it for a tick profit because again, it's not worth much. Risk off. We're slip ranging, and all of my trades today have been super tight, so I'm not going to try to push anything. That's the case. So another pretty tight trade there. I think this one is also a pretty decent trade. It's not worth much, unfortunately. The only thing I had against me was an invalidation, which I don't like. So I'm going to have to take away the order block tags. I did have some reclaim and range favor, but that's about it. On my backside, I didn't have much either. So a conservative scalp. I'm going to call this a C setup because there's not a whole lot working for me. was slip favor. I was clear, calm, content, and patient. I will green star this trade. Trade number 13 is a 2-tick loss. We start heading into a series of unfortunate losses here. I think this range just kind of killed me. Volume dropped off, and I didn't really have anything to work with in this range. It ended up costing me. So let's watch the replay with the narration. Quick, and then spike back up. I don't want it to just kind of drift there, because if it drifts there, it means we're probably going to break out. All right, there's the invalidation. Overshoot a little bit, long 4. I think that was impulsive. I'll take it for a 2-tick loss. So I say something pretty important there, and that is if I'm going to take a long down here, it has to spike down really fast, because if it just drifts there, if it slowly just rolls over, chances are we're going to break out to the downside. Price is doing exactly that. It's drifting. It's slowly rolling down, which I do not like. I'm just going to quickly screenshot this. Price is just kind of rolling down lethargically. Price is rolling down lethargically. We also have lower highs, lower high, lower high into support. So we are compressing. So this will be a red star trade. I didn't really have any factors of support on this, so I'm going to tag it as such. This was technically a try 2. Actually, no, because this was a separate setup. This was an aggressive scalp in a risk-off environment, which means I was against my bias. I'm also over trading. There's no slip favor. I am confused, maybe calm. I'm going to say no content. I am not content at this point. And yes, I am impatient. So this will be a red star. This might be my worst trade of the day, just because there's clearly no edge in taking this trade. I really wish I hadn't. Trade 14 is a 3-tick loss to the long side in the same area. So this will be a try two. A little bit for try two with a better average. So I'm just going to copy all the tags from the last one. Shoot a little. Trade 14 will also be a red star. Try two with a better average, 350. Because I am fighting. I'm fighting right now. Try two. And trade 14 is a 3-tick loss to the long side. Trade 15 is a 4-tick loss to the long side. And I think this is a try three. Yeah, it is. So again, I'm going to paste the tags. This is try three. And red star. I think at this point I take a break for about 5 minutes. And I come back for trade 16, which is a 1-tick loss to the short side. One tick loss. I don't like how it's hovering. Price is natural. Too. For 1-tick loss. No. Price is natural. So I could have got a couple more ticks out of that. I just don't have anything in my favor on this one. Like I barely have one order block. Yeah, I'm going to tag this as no factor support, and I have a V flush against me. This is also unfortunately going to be a red star because I'm forcing trades. I'm being pretty aggressive here. Risk off against bias. If I try three. Got it. I did have slip favor on it, but I was pretty confused, maybe calm. I was pretty discontent, and I was maybe patient. I did wait a little bit between trades. Trade 17 is a 1-tick loss to the short side. To my credit, I am doing a good job of at least managing these losses. But I shouldn't be trading here in the first place, honestly. 5 short, got it.
So take this for the 1 tick loss because, again, it's just hovering. Got getting in the way here. Getting in the way of a trend.
All right, so this one's a little better, but still, I'm gonna have to copy the tags from the last trade. This is essentially the same thing. Copy tags, paste in here. This one I at least had the invalidation working for me, so I'm gonna yellow star it. But I am still pretty aggressive attacking up here. I did at least have some small order blocks in my favor. And that's it. So yellow star for that one. Trade 18 is a 2-tick profit to the long side.
Got it. Touched my stop there, but I'm still in it. I like this up to 450. I think I can get the point out of it. So that's the invalidation there. I take it off for 2 ticks profit because my source of edge there was the invalidation at the sell block at 425. So
Yeah, so what I was hoping for just didn't end up happening there. I was hoping for well, it actually did end up happening. I just couldn't get as much as I wanted out of the trade. This one will be a green star. I had major order blocks and minor order blocks in my favor. There's not really a range. It's just kind of a trend at the moment, and I'm against it. So I'll do trend against. Entry good, exit good. This was more conservative. I'll give this a B grade setup. I did have slip favor. In this very brief moment, I was clear. But I think I was maybe calm, maybe content, and maybe patient. Trade 19 is a 2-tick profit to the short side. So I am starting to slowly recoup some of my losses here. Short on resistance, it looks like. I'll listen to the recording.
the resistance level setting up here. I'm gonna try the short 475. I think I see a pretty good level at 375 that I might want through. Just see what the market gives me. Take the 3 ticks if it'll give it to me. Take 2 ticks if it'll give it to me. Got that out.
All right, so that one was better. I liked the idea. We were short off of a liquidity area. we had just minor order blocks in our favor. Nothing against us, it looks like. Other than maybe compression. So I will take that compression against. Entry good, exit good, conservative scalp, risk off. This is probably a B setup. Not really any slip advantage. I was clear, at least for the time being here. Maybe calm, maybe content, and maybe patient. I will green star this trade. All right. Trade number 20 is a 3-tick loss to the long side. So I think I start to run into trouble here. The next few trades are pretty rough, to be honest. I think I start falling in love with an idea. So let's watch the replay. Build. Take the 2. Maybe the 1 if it'll give it to me. And hit my stop. I'm gonna try 2 this just because we did get. So gave me about 1 or 2 ticks profit. I tried to take it off, but it just wouldn't give it to me. I was trying to do a breakout here. So this time the compression's working in my favor, but we have a liquidity area against us. I am range against though. As far as order blocks go, I think I only had minor order blocks in my favor, but nothing against us. Entry might have been a little early. And I think my exit was late. I think I should have taken the break even on that at least. This was pretty aggressive, trying to get a breakout right at the edge there. Aggressive scalp. Risk off environment. I think this setup was probably like a C or something. I just don't have a lot of confirmation that this is going to break out. Slip mid. My market read is in between. I'm not clear or confused here, just kind of in between. Maybe calm, maybe content, and maybe patient. This will be a red star. Copy tags because the next one is a try 2 of this same idea. Fill. I would like to see this go up to that resistance at 550. Yeah, and I think this just comes back on me too. To add further insult to injury, I don't have any order blocks to play with. At this point, I think I am confused, but everything else is the same as the last trade. This will also be red star. Trade 22, 21 was a 4-tick loss to the long side, by the way. 22 is a 5-tick loss to the long side. So again, I'm going to paste those in. This is a try 3. Take the try 3. Try 3 almost looks like it wants to work, but again, if we're considering this a range, then I'm definitely mid on it. Should I stop there? I really like these odds. Basically, a reclaim assisted push into that compression. So this will also be a red star. And then the next trade 23, is a 9-tick profit to the long side. So the idea ends up working. I'm just, again, I'm not pleased with how we ended up getting there. Short 475. I'm gonna try two. Okay, there it is. Got it. Yeah, okay. So trade 23 ends up working for me. So far. Takes a while though. See how price reacts to it. I'm gonna take it off 475. I think that was a 2-pointer. That is what it is, unfortunately. So I could have held a little longer, but I'm not going to focus on that because this is also going to be a red star trade. And the reason for that is because I failed to bankroll. I was holding in a risk off environment. I'm not going to tag either of these. I did finally have range favor on it. At this point, I'm in between on market read. I think I had clarity on this setup, but the way I overtraded to get here was really poor. I'm gonna say no. I am not calm. I am tilted at this point. I am also not content. I am discontent at this point, and I'm pretty clearly impatient. This is also a revenge trade. So this will be red star. Trade 24 is a 2-tick loss to the long side. I think I just try to flip hit. Flip hit. 350 for the long because we just validated. This will also be a red star. I do have a lot of factors to support, but the fact that I'm overtrading here is just kind of unforgivable. This was an aggressive scalp. C setup. Did have slip favor. I'm confused. I'm not calm. I'm not content, and I'm not patient. And then finally, trade 25 is a 4-tick loss to the long side. I don't have a recording of it because I had stopped my stream when I took it. I do have this little screenshot, but I kind of wish I just walked away. My session would have been 4 ticks better had I just walked away. So this will also be a red star. Oh, this was not. So trade 24 was not a flip hit. It was in the same direction. That makes more sense. And then 25 was another long, just trying to catch that breakout. But I'm pretty clearly late to the party. So yeah, I think that's my session there. Finish the session on a pretty tilted note there. Even though one of those trades was a big winner, it just wasn't worth it because I ended up giving most of it back after, even after I fought so hard for it. That's the thing that sucks about revenge trading, is you fight so hard for that trade, and when it comes, it's almost like you can't accept that you finally got it, because like 7 7 plus 5 is 13. So I had spent 13 ticks in losing trades to get 9 ticks back in a winning trade. So I'm still down even after I finally nailed that trade, which makes me want to revenge trade even more. And I ended up giving back more. I gave back 6 more ticks after that. So revenge trading just never works. That being said, I'm not going to sit here and lie to myself and say that I'm never going to revenge trade again. I'm never going to go on tilt again, because it happens. And while it does hurt and it sucks going on tilt, because you're taking unnecessary losses. All of these red trades that you see here were avoidable. They were pretty easily avoidable. It's called just not taking the setup. And if I eliminate those red star trades, so let's put on a filter here. So if I put on a rating tag and we take out all the red trades, I would have been in green on the day. I would have been up 6 ticks, which is almost profit target. So those unnecessary losses are just dragging me down, and it sucks. But the point I'm trying to make here is, it's like, just because I did this today, and just because I broke rules, and just because I went on tilt and I had an emotional, roller coaster, so to speak, does not mean I'm a bad trader. In fact, if every tilt session that I ever have looks like this, I'll be very happy with that, and I will embrace it. I think today was a good learning opportunity. Um, I don't think, unfortunately, a universe exists where I was green today. I think the price action was just kind of in that weird in between zone where there is volatility, but it's very choppy. And it was an inside day, meaning we didn't breach the high, the previous high, or the previous low. We just kind of chopped around inside. I think it was kind of setting up for a brutal day. And the fact that I came away down as much as I am, I'm proud of. I'm proud that I managed my losses that well, um, given the fact that I went on tilt. Um, it would be nice if I could live in a world where I never went on tilt again, but that's never going to happen. It's always going to be a part of trading. It's always going to come. Um, just try not to let it blow you up, I suppose. And I'm very, very happy that I had a really bad day like today, but I didn't hit my broker loss, and I didn't even hit my personal loss. My personal daily loss limit was 16 ticks, and we never ended up hitting that, which I'm really proud of. So if every bad day looks exactly like this, then I'm totally fine, because I can recoup. I can recoup this in 1 to 2 days. It's not the end of the world. Two solid days of trading, I can make all this back. And if I even go look at my P&L curve over the last couple weeks here, I mean, that's not bad. That's not a horrible drawdown. I can easily come back from that in a couple days. And as I'm making this review, I am leaving tomorrow for a vacation, a 1 week vacation. I think going on vacation, had I been green today and I maintained a really killer winning streak, it would have added a lot of unnecessary pressure when I came back. So when I come back, the week after next, I'm not gonna have that pressure anymore because I'm in a drawdown right now, and that's fine. Getting out of a drawdown just requires discipline and work. But maintaining a winning streak, especially a winning streak like the one I've been on, 100% win rate, it's like it adds this doom, this underlying doom of like, when am I gonna mess this up? And I don't have that feeling anymore. And the fact that I was able to um, have a drawdown day that only resulted in what? How much am I down again today? Um, Down 11 ticks. That's not bad at all. To have a bad day and it be 11 ticks is pretty good. That's a pretty solid like that's a pretty consistent drawdown. If all my drawdowns could be 11 ticks, like whew, I'd be rich, you know. So my this is weirdly um kind of the gold standard for me as far as red days goes. My goal is to make sure that every red day I have looks something like this. Now, I don't want to trade that much. The fact that I took 25 trades today is excessive, and a lot of those were unnecessary. I think there's a big difference between taking unnecessary loss, where you're risking an appropriate amount for an appropriate amount of reward, and just taking unnecessary impulsive trades. I would like to get rid of that. Um, but I am also aware of the fact that that's just part of trading. It's always going to be there, and I don't want to look away. I don't want to pretend that issue doesn't exist, and I don't want to obsess over it either. I don't want to be always thinking about tilt, because honestly, over the last 6 months, when I did have that older account and I did end up blowing it, it was like every day I sat down at the desk, I was thinking about blowing up. And what ended up happening? I blew up. I blew the account. So it's like I don't want to think about that. I don't want it to be my obsession, you know, just focus on the next setup. What does the next trade look like? Let's get into the DRC. Um, if I had to grade myself today, it would probably be like I would even go as high as a B. I think I did a really good job of managing my risk, considering how bad of a day it was. Um, I think um, having a day like today after being on tilt is kind of a luxury. Like I think this is kind of as good as it gets as far as having a really bad day, and I would consider this to be a really bad day. I think I managed it really well. I didn't hit my daily loss limit. I didn't exceed any like sizing rules or anything like that. I didn't hit my broker loss, which is really good, which is there to protect me. So if every red day could look like this, I would be very happy. Um, my long-term goal is to narrate every trade and to build a story. So I never want to just trade in silence and let my subconscious mind dictate trades. I always want to bring those thoughts into my conscious mind. I want to talk. I want to bring it into the world and think critically about my ideas rather than just kind of snowballing inside my own head, because I think that's where a lot of traders go wrong. They think, they internalize, and then they just it's domino effect. They just can't control themselves. Um my easiest trade today was, I think I already said it. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. Let's see. Can I find it? Yes, I can. Trade number 11, 2 tick profit. Very easy trade. Just instantly went in my favor. Was a very clear, easy setup. It wasn't amazing setup quality. Just because there's not a lot of range, there's not a huge target. It's a very tight trade, but it was so easy. It just instantly worked in my favor. On days like today where I have to grind small trades like that, I would like every trade to look like that. Things I did good. I managed my risk. That's number one. I even at the worst possible degree of tilt in my session, I was still thinking about risk, and I wasn't just full porting and like slapping orders onto the market. I was still at least thinking about risk and just like how much should I risk in this trade, stuff like that. Even if the bigger picture is I'm losing a lot on the day because I'm over trading and I'm tilted, at least in that moment, I'm still thinking about the trade and how much am I risking for this trade, um, and stuff like that. Um, I think a lot of traders when they really spiral, they're not really thinking about risk. They're just kind of thinking about where their P&L is on the day, and they just keep slapping trades on. And I think there's a huge sign of improvement in the fact that I was keeping my risk mitigated, despite being fully on tilt. I think like that was almost as bad as it gets with the degree of tilt I had. So I'm really proud of the way that I kept that in check. Um, I also did a good job of following my long term goal, which is to narrate every trade. Throughout the entire session, I was constantly talking to myself and narrating. Um, I think my very last trade after I cut the recording, um, I just kind of succumbed to it and I placed a trade in complete silence without talking to myself because I had just cut the recording. Um, but as soon as that trade went against me, I realized how stupid it was. And I thought, why did I do that? That was a horrible decision. And it actually made me sick to my stomach. Like my stomach started to knot. And I was like, this is not what I want to be. I do not want to be the kind of trader who just sits down and quietly blows up their account. I want to talk about it, even if I'm just talking to myself. I want to bring those thoughts into the world. I want to rationalize and challenge myself. I do not want to just, keep slapping trades. Um, I also think I did a pretty good job of squeezing profit out of the trades that I could. Um, Today was a tough session, and I am not going to overlook that. The price action was really, really tough, and I'm proud of the fact that I was able to squeeze profit, even if it's 1 to 2 ticks, out of those very brief moments of clarity. I think there's real significant signs of improvement there. I think what separates a good trader from a bad trader is the ability to show up every day and on the worst days still find some sort of edge. Um, Granted, in a perfect world, I would not have traded today. I maybe would have seen that it was an inside day and I would have said, "Oh, I'm going to walk away." But I'm not there yet. I need reps. I need these sessions. I need these bad sessions, because it's reps. It's repetitions. You're learning lessons every time you do it, and the fact that I'm sitting here doing this review, I think, is more important than any skill I've ever developed in trading. Which I guess is another thing I'm proud of, and I want that to be noted. Under the things that I did good today, I reviewed. I did not want to review after I finished that session. My mind quietly again in my conscious subconscious mind started rationalizing how I could get away with not doing this review. I was like, "Oh, well, I'm going on vacation tomorrow. Maybe I just leave it until I get back, or like maybe I just forget that this session ever happened and move on with my life." But it's like, what am I gaining? It's all for nothing. That brutal hour-long session that I just put in where I fought for every tick and I took a million paper cuts and I was sweating and my heart was beating and I didn't want to be there anymore and all the unpleasantness of all that would have been for nothing if I didn't sit here and do the review. So at least I can walk away after doing this review and know that I did something good today. I improved as a trader, even though I lost money, even though I went on tilt, which is every trader's nightmare. That's like the worst thing that a trader can do is go on tilt. Even though I went on tilt today, I still did my review and I learned from it. And I'm going to come back in a couple weeks a better trader for it. I couldn't be more proud of where I am right now. I'm so incredibly proud of myself. It's such a huge improvement from where I was a year ago. Um, things I need to improve upon. I need to take more breaks. I think taking one break is fine for a normal session, but for a bad session like this, if I know things are bad, I need to walk away multiple times. I want to take 3, 4, even 5 breaks on a day like today because it's so tough to sit here and look at the charts. It's so tough to take multiple losses and keep trading. Just get up, stretch your legs, get some blood pumping, do some squats or something like that. Stretch your arms, drink some water, stare out the window. Just do anything other than staring at the chart because it snowballs and that might be the reason why I snowballed today is because I wasn't taking enough breaks. That pattern interruption is so important. So I want to make sure that I'm doing that in the future. Um, the next thing is just doing a better job of following my risk off um, bias because um, I think I consciously said it at the beginning that today was going to be a risk off day. But I think after that moment, the rest of my session, I was not thinking about the fact that today is a risk off day. And I don't think I was trading like it either. I was taking some pretty aggressive trades there. And I think before each trade, I should ask myself, like, is this risk on or is this risk off? And I should narrate that as such because maybe if I was thinking just a little more consciously about risk off, it maybe would have kept me out of some of those bad trades. Um, and I think that's it. Um, maybe one more thing I could have done is um, less focus on account P&L. This is very vague, and this is something that's going to require a lot of introspection on my end. It's not really something I could change overnight. But I I would be lying if I said I wasn't paying attention to my account P&L so far. I even have screenshots that I took of my account, and um, even yesterday, Fat Cat tweeted that I was doing really good, and I think it added that little bit of pressure. And it's not something I was thinking about. It's not something that was at the forefront of my mind. It's if anything, it was like something I didn't have a single conscious thought about. But I think it was there in my subconscious mind, thinking, where is my account balance? What are people going to think if I fail the account again? And Fat Cat tweeted about how good I was doing last night and stuff like that. And it's just focus on the next trade, focus on the next setup. Don't think about how good your screenshots are going to look at the end of the session. Just think about what is this setup going to look like? How many tags, how many good tags can I throw on this trade? That's what really matters. I think I have again fallen for that trick of just thinking about P&L and how good I'm doing instead of where the next trade is going to be. Uh, and I think that's it. In summation, it was just it was a rough day, but I'm proud of the way I traded it. I think I did a good job of at least maintaining some semblance of consistency. I didn't let the session get away from me. I didn't hit max drawdown. I did walk away. I think in the past, almost 100% of every bad session I've had in the past, the only thing that stops me is if I get locked out of the account, whether it be blowing up or if I have a broker loss in. Even even a platform loss like Sierra Chart lets you place a max daily loss on Sierra Chart. I can't tell you how many times I've overridden that. I'll go in and I'll type in my password and I'll click remove daily loss and then I'll keep trading until the account is blown. Um, every I think today might be the first bad day I've ever had in the last 4 years of me trading where I didn't hit that barrier. It was me who pulled away. It was me who stopped trading. It was me who cut myself off, which I think is a huge step in the right direction. And it's discipline. That's fucking trader discipline right there, and I'm so proud of it. Um, and I think that's it. I'm proud of today. That's all I can really say. If I could take away one thing from today's session, it would just be how proud I am of myself for developing. So I'll leave it at that. We're almost an hour and 40 into this review, but I think it was a doozy. I think it was a good one. And I guess I will be back in a couple weeks.